It's been 7 years since Tony Stark took that final snap. Every Avenger walking into Doomsday has been carrying that loss since 2023. Steve Rogers lived an entire second life and still couldn't shake it. Peter Parker erased his own existence. Strange handed over the Time Stone specifically to keep Tony breathing on Titan. And now, a man with Tony's exact face stands before them, casually stopping Stormbreaker with one raised hand, wearing what might be the most calculated disguise any MCU villain has ever conceived. Not because he has to look like that, because he chose to. Here's what I'm piecing together. Dr. Doom is actively using sorcery to project Tony Stark's face. This isn't a random variant glitch or a multiverse mix-up. It's intentional. It's a tool he forged before he ever set foot in that room, and the trailer hands us the proof. First, look at that glove. When Doom halts Stormbreaker in the trailer, there's a runic symbol etched into the armor. Not a repulsor, not any kind of Stark tech, a magical rune. Marvel had already confirmed that this Doom is a sorcerer, not just an engineer, but a full-blown magic user. That single frame dismantles the variant theory completely. A Tony Stark variant builds. He invents. He creates hardware. Every version of Tony across every timeline makes things. He doesn't trace runes. The rune tells us Doom is somebody fundamentally different. Someone who learned magic, who fused sorcery with genius instead of picking one lane. And what's the one magical application the MCU has drilled into us across Doctor Strange, WandaVision, and Multiverse of Madness? Illusion. The ability to rewrite how something appears. Doom is a sorcerer who can alter his own look, and he just happens to wear the face of the Avengers' dead friend. That's not random, that's a deliberate choice, both from the character and from Marvel's writing team. Now think about the emotional impact of that face in a room full of heroes. The trailer gives us the big assembly, Thor rallying the troops, Sam, Bucky, and Scott Lang putting aside their differences because the threat is that massive. The Fantastic Four, the Thunderbolts, the X-Men, Namor in his classic look, Shuri and M'Baku. Every faction that's ever operated separately in the MCU is suddenly under one roof. And at some point, they're all going to come face to face with the mastermind, the one whose face Marvel refuses to show in any clear shot, the one with those familiar eyes staring out from behind the mask. Every single hero in that room is going to feel a gut punch they didn't see coming, because the face staring back at them belongs to the man who built their team and died for it. That's not just dramatic irony, it's warfare. It's a psychological weapon so perfectly designed that Doom doesn't even need to speak to disarm them. He walks in wearing their grief, and their defenses crumble. The Russos have already confirmed that the explanation for Doom's resemblance to Tony will be addressed in this film, not held for Secret Wars. That tells you everything. This isn't a mystery they're dragging out, it's the engine of the plot. The face isn't a side detail, it's the central mechanism. The manipulation hinges on it. And the moment someone in that room realizes the face is a calculated illusion rather than a cosmic accident, the whole house of cards might start to fall. Then there are the eyeholes. Classic Doom in the comics wears a full helmet, no visible skin, just unbroken metal. Marvel deliberately redesigned that for the MCU, cutting eye holes so Downey's eyes are unmistakably visible. That's not aesthetics, that's storytelling. The illusion only works if the heroes can see just enough to trigger recognition. They need those eyes looking back at them so they feel the familiarity, even when their brains are screaming that something's wrong. That's why the mask has openings. That's why Downey's performance carries all those micro-expressions. Doom feels like a ghost from the outside, even though he's a monster on the inside. The comfort the Avengers instinctively feel around him, that's the trap. Concept art that leaked earlier shows Doom on his throne, flanked by Strange, Sue Storm, and Yelena Belova, and they don't look like prisoners, they look like converts. Three of the most fiercely independent characters in the MCU, standing beside a villain's seat of power as if they chose to be there. Strange answers to no one. He scanned 14 million futures and has never deferred to anyone he didn't fully trust. The one thing that could bypass his logic before he even processes it? A face. Specifically, the face of the man he sacrificed the Time Stone to protect. If Doom appears as Tony, Strange's emotional override kicks in before his reason can catch up. Doom understood that. He built his strategy around it. If you love uncovering the secrets Marvel leaves in plain sight, hit that subscribe button. The trailer also gives us a look at the new Avengers tower. The A is repositioned. The design is distinctly different from Tony's original. It's Sam's tower now, a symbol of the new era. And in the same movie, a man wearing Tony's face is the antagonist. That contrast is the whole point. The tower says, Tony is gone, something new has risen. The mask says, Tony is gone, but something is wearing his skin. Both statements are true. Both Both are the thesis of Doomsday. The old guard is over, but their memory is far from dead. Magneto and Xavier appear in one brief shot, two old adversaries who've been at odds for decades, now standing shoulder to shoulder, bracing for the end. The trailer doesn't show them fighting, it shows them united, which means Doom's threat is big enough to finally bring them together. And both of them are going to see that face at some point. Neither of them knew Tony Stark personally. They won't carry the same visceral wound that the Earth-based Avengers do. That makes them the most clear-eyed observers in the room, the ones most likely to see through the illusion, while everyone else is drowning in emotion. Doom didn't march into Doomsday armed with an army as his primary weapon. He walked in with a face. The rune proves its magic. The Russos promise the answer is coming. The eyeholes confirm the face is the payload. The mask isn't concealing Tony Stark, it's exploiting his memory. It's using love as a weapon, grief as architecture, and trust as a trap. Every hero who ever fought beside Tony will have to wrestle with what they feel when they see that face versus what they know. That conflict is the entire movie. December 18th, the mask stays on until then. Look at what the trailer hides versus what it shows. It shows Doom effortlessly stopping Stormbreaker. It shows the rune on his gauntlet. It shows his armor, his cape, his unshakable calm. It shows Thor admitting they need a miracle, right before old Steve Rogers shows up and reclaims Mjolnir. It shows Yelena fighting a Mystique who's copied her form. It shows Shuri squaring off against Gambit in what's being called one of the most visually stunning sequences of the film. It shows Cyclops, Magneto, and Ant-Man saying goodbye to his daughter. All the emotional weight, all the scale, all the cost. What it doesn't show is Doom's uncovered face. Never a straight-on shot, never without that metal barrier between him and the audience. Some VFX shots are still unfinished. Marvel was fine with showing incomplete armor and environments, but they drew the line at the face. That's not a technical choice. That's a narrative decision. They're controlling exactly what we see and when we see it. The Russos have called the teasers clues rather than conventional trailers. Every marketing piece is a puzzle piece. The rune is a clue. The eyeholes are a clue. The most telling clue of all is what they won't show. Marvel is guarding one specific moment, not the plot, not the ending, but the instant when the mask comes off or the camera finally reveals what's underneath. That reveal is the payoff the entire campaign has been quietly building toward. And when it happens, when the metal lifts or the illusion drops, it won't just be shocking, it'll be proof. Proof that Doom chose this, that he studied his enemies, found their deepest wound, and wore it as armor when he walked into the room. Tony built suits to protect himself and eventually the entire world. Victor Von Doom built two suits, one of metal and one of memory. The metal one stops Stormbreaker. The memory one stops the Avengers from thinking straight when it matters most. The mask stays on until December 18th, but the theory was always there, in the rune, in the eyeholes, in the 7 years of grief that made it all possible. And there's one final layer the trailer adds that shifts this from an interesting theory to something urgent. The heroes assembled here are not the original Avengers. Tony is gone. Natasha is gone. Steve is back, but as a civilian. The team that took down Thanos is dismantled. What we have in Doomsday is the next generation. Sam's Captain America, the Thunderbolts, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men. These are people who either never knew Tony or only knew him from a distance. They carry his legend, not his living memory. The original Avengers, the ones who trained under Tony, who bled beside him, who watched him die, are the most vulnerable to the face. But the second wave, Sam, Shuri, the newer heroes, are the ones most likely to look at Doom without the emotional baggage and see the manipulation for what it is. Sam Wilson never fought side by side with Tony. He got the shield from Steve and built his own identity without Tony's shadow. When Sam looks at Doom, he's the least likely to feel the pull that face is designed to create. Which means Sam might be the one to crack the case first, and Sam figuring it out before Strange, before Bucky, before anyone who actually knew Tony. That's classic Russo storytelling. The last person you'd expect to see clearly ends up seeing the clearest. The mask is doing two things simultaneously. It's hiding what Doom really looks like, and it's showing everyone exactly what he wants them to see. That's the theory. That's what the rune proves, what the eyeholes confirm, and what 7 years of meticulously preserved Avenger grief makes brutally possible.